One of the best parts about winter is enjoying a cozy dessert.
These gingerbread muffins are easy to make, they're light, they're fluffy, they're sweet but not too sweet. This is a quick and easy recipe that does not use a lot of equipment or dishes. I guarantee if you like gingerbread, you will love these muffins. So let's give them a try. The batter for these muffins can be made in one bowl. As long as that bowl is microwave friendly, that will be all you need. I prefer to weigh most of my ingredients, that way I don't have to get many measuring cups dirty. If my recipe calls for butter to be melted, I often use a microwave safe bowl, and I will start with the butter so that I can melt it in that bowl.
All the measurements can be found in the description below.
As the weather's changing and as the days are getting shorter and the snow's coming in, gingerbread just brings that holiday nostalgic feeling. It's one of those flavors that we don't see in spring and summer, but it has such a robust taste and really makes it feel like the winter season started and holidays are coming, and just that cozy, warm comfort of this magical time of year. I just added some molasses to the bowl.
I really enjoy molasses and baked goods.
I will start by adding all of the wet ingredients. Most recipes like cakes and muffins and anything with a batter really should have the wet ingredients mixed first, and then you incorporate the dry ingredients. Oftentimes it'll say to have the dry ingredients mixed in a separate bowl and then you add it. But I tend to just add the dry ingredients on top of the wet ingredients.
For something like muffins, I don't find this process changes the end results very much.
Here I'm adding some brown sugar. I lost my little puck that I would keep in my brown sugar container so that it wouldn't go hard. So currently what I'm doing is putting my brown sugar in the freezer. That way it doesn't all get hard, but sometimes it's still frozen and a bit clumped together. So I'm going to take a bit of extra time here to loosen those clumps so that the brown sugar fully mixes with the other wet ingredients. Hopefully for Christmas this year, someone will buy me a new puck for my brown sugar container, and maybe even a new brown sugar container would be appreciated. So we had a little visitor. The baby is in this phase right now where she does not want to be put down. So she is often in my arms, but she'll go up and down depending on what I'm doing. I don't always want to wear her because sometimes I need to do something where I can't have her in my arms. So just as any mom would, I will have her tag along in one of my arms while I work with the other. So after adding the egg, I'm moving on to the dry ingredients. This is flour that I'm adding. And again, I'm weighing it out, but the measuring cup that I'm using is just a measuring cup that I always leave in my flour container. I find it just a lot easier to have one in the container. It allows easy access, and I don't always have to go looking for a measuring cup. And with many kids nearby, measuring cups are in high demand. They, for some reason, always want to play with them. So I try to limit the amount that I give them access to in a drawer. Now we need to add some ingredients so that this recipe rises. Here I'm adding baking soda. On this day, I was making these muffins primarily for my middle daughter. She loves gingerbread. She tends to ask me all year long to make gingerbread muffins or gingerbread cookies for her birthday.
I just added some baking soda that will really help these muffins rise and what will make them nice and fluffy. If you want other wholesome recipes like this one, make sure to subscribe to my channel.
I added some salt, and I'm just trying to mix those dry ingredients on top of it, and then I will incorporate them and mix them all together. Oh yeah, can't forget the cinnamon and the spices that we need. So this is cinnamon that I'm adding here, and I will add some ginger and some ground clove. I don't like to add too much ground clove just because it's quite an overpowering flavor. And I don't want my kids to kind of be turned off by that spice. I like to make muffins usually twice a week. My kids, I have 3 young kids that are eating muffins, and they can eat a lot of snacks. It's something quick that they can go to. I just imagine how much money I would be spending at the store if I didn't make them at home from scratch. I know that you can buy pre-made muffin mixes, and you can also buy muffins that have already been baked and are just ready to go. Now, those cost a lot more money than the amount of muffins that I get from using these ingredients. And even more importantly, making your own muffins from scratch, you can control all the ingredients that go into it. There's no preservatives being added. There's no giant amounts of sugar that is being added to these muffins. I can cut the sugar if I want. I could add a bit more of a certain flavor if I want. It's really up to the baker, up to me to know how to serve my family best.
The next step is to mix this all together, and then I will add the sour cream and milk. Those two components are the last things to be added to this muffin recipe. I have tried many different muffin recipes, but some things that I look for when I'm looking to try a new recipe is first, I want all the ingredients to be listed by weight because I like to weigh things out. So that way I don't have to do the conversion myself. The next thing that I like is to have it use butter rather than oil, or especially not vegetable oil. If that's in the recipe, I tend to just pass it by. I rather use more natural products like butter or lard for my baking, and just in general. I don't cook with seed oils at all. I've eliminated that completely from my pantry. And finally, the last thing I look at is the sugar. I don't want the recipe to have an overwhelming amount of sugar. I actually prefer if it has honey or maple syrup rather than sugar, white sugar, or even brown sugar is better. But for some recipes, I know that you just need to use brown sugar or white sugar, and that's fine. I'm using a fork to stir this all together. I just thought everything would clump up in the whisk, and this does the job. It may take a little longer, but I didn't feel like looking for a spatula and getting it dirty, and it worked fine with the fork. I know most people use muffin liners, but I never remember to buy muffin liners, and I'm just so used to not using them. I tend to use avocado oil or sometimes even butter or olive oil if I'm out of those other things, and I will just spray the muffin tins. I know it can be a little annoying because you have to clean like each individual muffin hole after you get them out. I tend to just throw it into the dishwasher and it cleans 90% of it, depending on how full my dishwasher load is. And then I'll just clean the rest of it by hand. Every time I buy muffin liners, it's like I go through them so quick and then I run out and I feel like I just spent so much money on them. If I'm making something like cupcakes that I'm going to serve, I will actually use parchment paper and cut it into little squares and then cut each side, and it actually folds quite nicely into the muffin trays. I tend to make smaller muffins just because my kids are the ones eating them, and sometimes they won't even finish a full muffin, so that way less goes to waste. I got about 17 muffins from this recipe. So I put them in at 375 for about 14 to 15 minutes. So it's funny, I have two different muffin trays. One is a dark stainless steel and then the other one is a lighter stainless steel. And the lighter one always has to cook for a bit longer. So make sure that you check the muffins. You can put a toothpick through it, and if it comes out clean, you know they are done. The muffins are now done. I'm transferring them to a wired rack so that they could cool. Here's what it looks like. It's nice and fluffy. And it was really hot right there, so I was trying not to burn myself. But they were moist, they were sweet, and they were delicious. On this day, my kids were busy playing outside, so I didn't have little hands trying to grab at them right away. But when they came inside, they enjoyed a nice snack. For myself, I paired this with a nice warm coffee, and for my kids, I made them a hot chocolate once they came in. I hope your family enjoys this recipe as much as mine does.